Exactly, and there is this having an online business is like has been for the past few years the new gold rush. Oh, have an online business and all your problems are gonna be solved. The what the real reality is that not everyone is made for having an online business. There are people that love more meeting people in person.
Welcome to Men of Abundance, the podcast for those looking to level up their lives by hanging out with some of the greatest leaders and established professionals in our community, living a life of integrity, honor, and the abundance mentality. Prepare to pay it forward with your host, former Army medic turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Wally Carmichael.
What is going on, Men of Abundance? I am Wally Carmichael, your founder and host of the Men of Abundance podcast, the Pay It Forward community, showing you how to live a life of abundance in family, faith, finances, and fitness. How is everybody doing out there in isolation? I know it's tough for a lot of people. I really haven't skipped a beat, to be quite honest with you. I've been working from home for the last 2 years. And the only place we like to travel a lot and stuff like that. So I'm having a hard time with that, having a hard time not going and spending time at Disney World or Universal, which we would normally do at least twice a month. We'd be at one of the parks. So definitely jonesing on that for sure. But other than that, business as usual over here. I will say that I am a lot busier with my business, Abundance and Prosperity Business Mastery, with the amount of business owners who are realizing that having a business coach is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And they're figuring that out now. And I'm getting a lot of phone calls. I'm booking a lot of Zoom calls. I love Zoom. And we're talking a lot about what these business owners can be doing today during this so-called downtime. Some are not on downtime. Some are still working, especially those in the construction business. Many of them are still working and painting and doing the things that they do. They're just having smaller crews and less people in the homes or the facilities where they're doing their work at. And then others are able to go online. But you know what? Not everybody can take the commerce side of their business online. However, you as a business owner, if you are not able to take the commerce side of your business online, I encourage you to get online if you are not online. And I mean social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Yes, I said TikTok. Don't laugh at me. I'm going to share with you a few strategies on how you can do this, but I'm not going to do it here. I will share those strategies on the Business Owner Growth Podcast. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you get subscribed to the Business Owner Growth Podcast, where I'm going to be sharing those strategies amongst many others that you should be implementing in your business right now during this time, because when we come out the other end of this, you are going to have to innovate your business. I'm going to share with you several strategies on how to do that. Now, this conversation, Simone and I are going to talk about being online, being offline, and what the importance is. One thing I didn't mention during our conversation, I was talking about getting on the phone. But even better than that, in the situation we're in right now today, is to get on Zoom. Make sure you are getting familiar with Zoom. In fact, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get very familiar with Zoom by inviting you to my next Business Breakthrough virtual focus group. These are amazing. This is an amazing focus group where I'm sharing 8 of my top strategies, and then I'm strategizing with those on the Zoom call and helping them work through this for their own business, and then leaving you with strategies that you can implement in your business that week. I'm also going to give you access to my online business academy. All I ask is that you actually implement the strategies so that you can improve your business and add massive value to your community. To register for this Business Breakthrough virtual focus group, go to wallycarmichael.com/webinar. wallycarmichael.com/webinar. Or find the link in the show notes of this episode. I'll see you there. Now, our featured guest today is Simone Vincenzi. He is known as the Experts Strategist. He's the co-founder of GTEX. He's a Forbes and Huffington Post contributor, TEDx speaker, host of the podcast Explode Your Expert Business, and author of 3 life-changing books. Simone is passionate about turning experts into authorities using his signature Explode Your Expert Biz programs. Every year, he speaks in front of more than 5,000 business leaders, which include sharing the stage with Les Brown, Dr. John DeMartini, Trent Shelton, and many more. He has also organized over 170 events, including Gary Vee speaking from New York Hall Boxing Ring, and he is currently speaking on more than 200 stages every year. Following his passion for making an impact on the younger generation, he also partners with the largest youth organizations in UK, helping them deliver more effective courses and training. Simone cannot live without three things: speaking, baseball, and playing his didgeridoo. And if you haven't heard that, you're truly missing out. Men of Abundance, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Simone Vincenzi. Simone, welcome back to Men of Abundance, brother. How you doing? What's been going on?
I'm really well. Thank you very much, Wally. Great to be here. Absolutely great to be here. How about you?
Oh, man, things so much has changed since the last time you and I talked. Where are you at in the world today?
I'm still in London. Still in London right now. That's where my base is. I like to have a base.
Yeah.
I guess so. Base is London, and so that's where I am right now.
Well, since the last time you and I talked, I changed bases too. I was living between Hawaii and Florida, mostly Hawaii.
Yeah,
but now
I remember
I've completely cut ties with Hawaii, and now I got home base. Actually got a home office here in Florida, literally an office in my home, where last time we had a conversation, I was in the cab of my 2011 Toyota Tacoma looking out over the ocean.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, I was so envious because on my side it was cold and rainy, and you were there, like, by the beach. I was like, man.
Yeah. And today is actually a beautiful sunny day right now. We got this hurricane beating on our front door. Dorian, but, we'll see. It looks like it's going to stay well away from our area, but it's going to hit the coast.
Fingers crossed to all the people like in Florida right now, and my prayers goes there. So hopefully it's gonna go without creating too much trouble.
Yeah, we really got to send some prayers and some love and anything else we can out to the Bahamas. I got a friend who was actually there on the 1st of September and stayed the night through the hurricane and somehow made it out the second day. They were there in Atlantis. And I got some other friends that live in that area too. So a lot going on, man. Heart goes out to them.
I got my extended family there in the Bahamas. So my wife is Caribbean.
That's right. Yeah.
And so so far they're good.
Good. You got into communication with them?
Yeah. We're good. Like my mom, mainly my mom-in-law. She's the one facilitating the communication.
Good.
That giving us updates.
Man, I'm so glad to hear that. And speaking of that, I like to start out with an attitude of gratitude, man. What do you have to be grateful for today?
I got to be grateful for my wife. I got to say, I got the best wife in the world. Man, it's sometimes it can be like something that happened today. I was a bit stressed because I had a lot going on. I had a lot of deadlines to complete today. I got a webinar I'm running this evening, and we had to update all the sequences and so on because we are changing the offers. And so my wife came in the room, and because both work from home, and she gave me a hand just setting up the studio here, and cooking some food is just a small thing that can just help me make my mind at peace, and so I'm super grateful for that.
Man, that is awesome. That is very beautiful, and I'm sure your wife is absolutely amazing. But I got to tell you, I have the best wife in the world, so we can go ahead and fight that
out later. Is there a space for 2 first places, or
there are? There's a million. They're all just absolutely amazing. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, very awesome, man. So what's new, man? What's going on in your world? I wanted to get back on, get an update, and see where you were at because, guys, you just got to go back and listen to the past episode. And I apologize, I didn't pull that up right now. What number that is? I know it was early, but I'll find it here in a minute. But in the meantime, Simone, what's new, man? What's going on? What are you working on?
It's just been a crazy year since last year. We had our company grew incredibly. We went from 4 to 15 staff members in 1 year, which was a huge growth, and that gave us huge challenges as well from the growth. And so it has been really like a year where I had to redefine who I was and who I am within the company, and also in my life. So that's where I am at the moment. Is an I'm still in the process of evolution. Things have settled down a bit from the talking about hurricanes that we had in the past year, and so things are now we are cruising on a quieter sea. Still, there are some quite big waves to face, but it's looking way better than it was before. So that's where I am at the moment.
Isn't that amazing though? Because, they say that, well, I've heard this said many times before, and I personally know it to be true, that true happiness comes from progress, from moving forward. And you're going to have all those trials and tribulations and the hurricanes and the calms in your life. But as long as you're moving forward in that whole regard and progressing in life and personally, we're all on our journey and we're never going to be done. I just think it's the most beautiful thing to continue moving forward and adding value, even more value to other people in their lives, man.
It is. And for me, the journey has been more discovering sides about me that I didn't know, because I never found myself in this situation before. And so it's been as well as a process in terms of like readjusting the business and restructuring the business and making it actually way more structured, because now we had more people. So it needed to have, while before I could wake up and say, oh, you know what, I won't launch this product today. and I could do that. Now that there are other people involved in the creative process, and also the implementation. So I cannot just wake up one day and say, oh, I want to create this software and put it out there. I don't want to create this webinar. Now we are mainly looking on implementation, systemization, which is not my strongest suit. I'm more like the creative type of person. And also I've realized that I don't like and I'm not good at managing people. And so it's been like literally a year where I had to discover sides of myself and improve and grow in many areas, not only on a personal level, but business level, managing people, in understanding people better, communicating better, systemizing, all things that I haven't done before. And so that's where the challenge and the blessing and the growth comes.
Yeah, for sure. So how have you overcome some of those challenges that you recognized? And first, congrats on recognizing that, your weaknesses. And what a lot of people do, what I do personally is, if possible, I hire out. I hire somebody else to handle those things that I know I just don't like doing. Therefore, I'm not going to be great at it, and it is going to affect the overall outcome. But what have you done to overcome some of those challenges?
Well, one of the things exactly is hiring out. So it's looking at, okay, who can take this instead of me, who is great at doing it. And so that was one of the things that we did. So, for example, even in the digital marketing side or the systemization side, we got a great person that helps us out in that way, that helps me out in that way. But also, there were areas where I just didn't want to hire out because I saw the progress for me as a person. So, for example, managing people is not a natural skill that I have. I've got very little patience, and like I mainly like a pace setter in terms of leadership styles. I don't know if you're familiar with Coleman leadership styles and so on. So and the pace setter is just like someone that goes ahead and say, "You guys catch up." That and it works in terms of like having someone to look up to, and that sets the pace of the company. But it's not great if you have when someone needs a moment to breathe or to understand things. And at the beginning, everyone needs moments to understand things. So you just want someone that is a bit more with you rather than someone that says, okay, catch up now. And then just thrown deep in the ocean. So, but I saw the value in learning that skill, or having more patience. And so There were some things I didn't want to hire out. I got support, great communication with the team in terms of they were understanding. That was also my journey and my process. So whenever they needed more help, they were going to tell me. And so that that helped me to grow as a person. It wasn't easy. It wasn't definitely easy, but I can feel, because the aim, the idea that what I want to create is a large company. I want to have a massive impact. And now we are also, we started another company in the recruitment sector. We started investing in other companies now, in small recruitment agency to help them grow. And I just want to be able to have this, to be able to manage people as well, not just say, okay, you guys, you go, and figure out. So that's why. So it's been that's been one of the biggest challenges and growth points at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to talk a little bit about your growth and why that growth has been happening, because, and just briefly get into your background that we talked about last time. And guys, that episode is episode 141. I just noticed that the graphic for that says 140. So that was a mistake on my point. But if you go to menofabundance.com/141, you'll find our first conversation where he talks about he was really having a hard time, and get into that just briefly, Simone, and then talk a little bit about your growth. And guys, I want to talk about this specifically because, where you're at today, what got you to where you're at today is not going to be what gets you to where you want to be in the next year, the next 5 years. You have to take on different challenges, like Simone did, took on a challenge to lead people and try to do what he can to master that, or at least enjoy it a little bit and be better at it. So if you would get into that a little bit, Simone.
Yeah. So what got me here was I think the power of consistency, because a lot of people they just change things all the time, right? One month they're doing one thing, the other month they're doing another thing, and the other month they're doing another thing. And so people cannot really put them in a box. And what people need to do is to kind of put you in a box. No, this is what you do, this is what you offer, and this is who you are, and this is what you stand for. And consistently talking about those four things. This is what you do, this is who you are, this is what you offer, and this is what you stand for. And so a lot of people keep changing while I kept consistent, and kept refining our offerings, kept serving our clients better, kept finding ways to get more case studies and more testimonials. And suddenly you have like an exponential growth. And the work that we do is to turn experts into authorities, to get people to become known in their marketplace, and to get more clients and to have a more streamlined business. This is the work that we do in our company. And we had to walk the talk. So it was about how can we become like, what do we know to be known for? And we wanted to be known for events, for running great events for entrepreneurs, for people that were solopreneurs that were starting their businesses. And that's what we did. And so we ran more than 1,000 events. I did more than 1,000 events in 5 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of events.
That is a lot of events, man.
I got my average of 200 speaking gigs in every year, and I still do that. One, because I love speaking. I absolutely love speaking. I mean, you put me on a stage, that's where I'm in my element, and that's where I'm having the most fun. That's where I can see the most impact. That's where we're also able to generate the most revenues. And so we kept going at it. And so, as you said, though, that's what got us here. But what is going to get us to the next stage of the business, which is something that we have been neglecting because we were running so many events, is more like the digital side. So we didn't have, like, all our clients mainly came from events. So we didn't do much stuff online. I mean, apart from my organic profile and content creation and the podcast, but there wasn't like a huge emphasis on webinars, Facebook ads, and so on. While now we are going crazy on that because we have the capital, the resources, and also the what we do is proven. So now we can scale it up. And that's where we are focusing on. And that's the next stage for us.
And why is that important to your business?
For two reasons. One, which is the primary motive of everything I do, is impact. I want people to have great businesses. I'm a business owner myself. I know how tough it is. And if we can give people more support and more loving, understanding, caring community around them, great training, then hopefully their journey becomes a bit easier, and they can enjoy it more, and therefore they can make more impact at the same time. So that's number one. And number two, to grow our audiences. Because now there has been a transition as well. Like with the people are more and more than before going online to find products, to find services. Even the event industry has changed from the way it was a few years ago. And so one is to keep ahead of the trend, and also to have this to build a relationship with way more people that we could do on a live event. I mean, that's the other reason why we're going there.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I totally dig that and resonate with that. Guys, a couple other reasons that I personally would see in doing something like this. If you have a model like Simone has right now, where it's all basically you and dependent on you being on the stage, then some days you're not gonna be able to get to the stage.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be a time that maybe you won't even, family's going to come first, and you don't want to travel nearly as much and be on the stage. So there's other reasons to automate the business as much as possible and create different price points for your content that people want, but they can't afford it at a certain level. So you have to have those different levels so that you can provide a greater impact in a different way at a better price point for where the person's at. And, those are the two things that I would submit as well in
Absolutely.
doing something like that. Yeah.
100% agree with you. It becomes way more scalable. I mean, automating that lead generation process becomes a huge thing. That also in the back end is going to feed anyway our live events that we do, because we're still doing them. And as well, also the overheads are less, because you don't have the cost of consistently hiring hotel rooms, so the business becomes a bit more lean. But I still want the event to be the main thing. So for us, we still use online to drive people offline. In fact, even in the campaigns that we use, is very targeted. It's London-based. That's where we are. That's where our base is. That's where we run our events. Because ultimately, we want people to attend our courses. And this is because I personally believe that, online you have a lot of connection, but the majority are fake connections. I mean, if you think about the people that you're connected with the most, they're people that you met in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that is so powerful, and I'm glad you said that, because, for instance, I've been following Tony Robbins since the mid-'90s on cassette, right? And then a video and everything else and online. And then I attend, they're like, well, you already know all of his content. Why would you go to an event? And I, went to Unleash the Power Within back in November. It was right down by the stage. There is absolutely nothing like going to a live event, even though the content that he was sharing from the stage was exactly what I've heard 1,000 times before. But the impact was just so much more. And then connections with the people around you that I still connect with and do business with is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I agree with you. There is no replacement for live events, but a good second, if you can't make it or whatever, a supplementation to that is definitely online.
No, absolutely, and that's where we're going. So before we were only relying on live events, and because I still want the ethos of the company is creating a relationship between people, because business grows with relationships, and there are I'm part of a lot of online communities, but gotta be honest, the people that I am most friend with, or the people I do business with, most of the time are people that I met in person, or it just takes years to build the same level of relationship online. I've got great friends that are just online, and I know I can consider them friends. But we've been in communication for the past like 4 years, 5 years. You meet someone at an event or a few events in 1 year, you have already built a solid relationship, or even like in 2-3 months, you've built already like a solid relationship. And that's why, for me, relationship is really important. That's why we keep running the company in this way, even if it costs a bit more, but it's true to me and it's true to what I believe. And that's the most important thing.
I totally agree. And I want to break this down to those that aren't doing events. Another perfect example of this is I can communicate with an ideal client online, on LinkedIn or Facebook, but generally one of those two platforms, usually LinkedIn. And we can develop a relationship. We can get to know each other a little bit, and it will take months before I can actually get to the point to where we have a professional relationship where we're doing business together. Yet I can pick up the phone and call any one of the business owners out of the newspaper or somebody here locally or whatever, and I can get on the phone with them and have that personal conversation, and we can get a much quicker, much better connection. Whereas if I go knock on the door, walk in, hand them a gift that I know that would benefit them, and tell them, look, I've seen something in your marketing that I can fix. I have some ideas. We can connect like that, and we can be doing business by the next day. There's a big difference between online, on the phone, and in person. The impact is just so much better in person. And, so for those of you guys out there who are following all these online gurus and trying to build a social media, connection and get to be known online, get offline. Pick up the phone or even go knock on some doors, because that personal connection, that voice-to-voice, face-to-face, is going to get you there so much quicker.
Exactly. And there is this, having an online business has been for the past few years the new gold rush. I have an online business and all your problems are going to be solved. What the real reality is that not everyone is made for having an online business. There are people that love more meeting people in person. There are upside and downside. Having an online business, it means that you're spending a lot of time behind your laptop.
Right.
That's the truth.
No, absolutely.
And so a lot of people, and also you need to be quite well aware on how to use certain technologies to have a good online business. And so is this kind of this naivete when people go into it, and they end up hating the process, because actually some people are more people person, and they'd rather build a business offline where they can actually meet with their clients, meet their people, and be way more fulfilled, rather than spending hours and hours creating integrations and funnels and pages and webinars and systems and follow-ups and retargeting and all the things that actually make a real online business. And of course, there are layers and levels. We all start somewhere. But it's about understanding for every person that is creating their own business, is about having that self-awareness of what do you like the most. At the end of the day, it's your business, so it's for you to choose. What do you like the most? Do you like spending time with real people, or do you like spending time, like, for example, my wife is the brilliant example. I love spending time with people. That's why my main business is events and live training. My wife, she's happy, like at home by herself, working on her laptop, working online, and maybe she will go out of the house like twice a week, but she's really happy staying in the house and working in her pajama, and that's it. And that's her, and that's why it really works for her. For me, it's the worst nightmare. So I can do that for 2 days, and I was like, I gotta get out of the house now. So it's about know yourself and know where you perform best and what makes you happy.
Yeah, absolutely. That is super important. And listen, guys, one last thing I want to say about this whole online bit is the guys that you see even in ClickFunnels and, all these other people taking all these amazing courses, there's anomalies out there, and they keep highlighting those anomalies. If you look at the averages of the people who are actually doing very, very well, let's not even say very well, let's not even say in the millions, actually making a living solely online, there's not that many out there. There really isn't, because the ones that are, they're creating content for LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, blogs. I mean, they just got so much content out there. That in itself is a full-time job. And oh, by the way, those that are doing well at it, they hire people. They have people on their teams that are doing all this writing and doing all this posting and doing all this stuff. So I'm just saying this, guys, because I don't want you to be hiding behind the idea of making it online before you make it offline, because you're going to make it offline so much quicker.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And so yeah, there are always two ways. Offline is quicker, but it's more time intensive and less scalable. Mm-hmm. And so and I think it's easier as well, like to test your offerings offline, mm-hmm. because you have real conversation with real people. And I've got a great friend of mine who is like he has multi-7-figure businesses, and he said one thing that is so true. It's called this man is called Ben Chai, and he said business is a people sport. If you're not good to be people, or you don't like talking to people, or you don't want to have interaction with people, don't have a business. Because that's what you're dealing with. You're mm-hmm. going to deal with people all the time. Yeah. and not all the interaction are going to be fun. And you will have to sell. You will have to put yourself out there. So either you love people and you fall in love with the people that you're serving, falling in love with your team, or you can create without that. It depends also like what goals you want to have. If you want to have like massive business goals, yeah, that's going to be important. If you want to make a living and maybe just replace your salary, that's fine. Mm-hmm. That will not require having a large team. You might have just yourself and a virtual assistant and you're done. And you have like a small business that you like, but that is as stable as a job. Like the moment you don't have the clients, then all the business goes down. So that's the other downside of it. Yeah. So I think that if you want to be in business, like fall in love with running a business and fall in love with people, and then you will definitely succeed at that.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a spiritual event, man. So
yeah.
how are you paying it forward now, Simone?
Oh, we're paying forward in many different ways. We work a lot. While building my business, I ended up homeless. So because I didn't have enough money for my rent, and it was a weird situation where I was just starting out in my business, and my mom and my grandfather died. And at that time, I haven't spoken to my mom in 3 years because she didn't take the fact that I left to live in the UK from Italy. And I knew that I had to come back, but at the same time, I wanted to run my business and I wanted to complete my studies. So I kind of made myself homeless while I was here in London so I could have the money because I had some savings, and was traveling back to Italy, staying at my mom's to build a relationship with her, to support her through the grieving that she was going through. And at the same time, come back to London every 2 weeks and then complete the studies. But then I was sleeping on the street or parks or benches because I couldn't afford an accommodation here. And my mom didn't know any of these at the time because she would never allow me to do that. But I felt that it was for whatever reason, the most logical solution. Well, many people would not define this as a logical solution, but for me at the time was the most logical solution. And it was an adventure. But so while living on the street, I connected with many people living on the street. And so we support a lot of homeless people. I'm also part of a basketball team, a professional basketball team, and we play in the 3rd division in the National League. And a big part of our club, which is the Lewisham Thunders, the London Lewisham Thunders, then is also giving back to young people and taking young people off the street, giving them extracurricular activity. So I'm getting involved in that process, and a lot of work around young people and entrepreneurship to support young generation, because school wasn't for me when I went to school. I mean, for me it was a night. Right? It's like I hated school, but I loved working and I loved learning. But I just loved learning things that I could use in the short term, and the things I could be interested in. And so just showing young people that if you're not good at school or you don't like school, that's not the end of the day. There are other ways, and just be there for them.
Yeah.
So these are different ways in which we give back.
Man, that's wonderful, and thanks for doing that. That is extremely important. And guys, I want to, when you go back and listen to episode 141, you'll hear more about Simone's time when he was in the homeless situation. And I want you to understand that he still, it's interesting. I actually bring you up quite a bit when I have this conversation, because, everybody thinks that when you're helping people, you have to be in a position that you want to help people get to. You understand what I'm saying? I want to help somebody be a better person and have more, let's say, basically in what you're doing as well, do better in their business and coaching people to just live a better life. And here you are, homeless, trying to build a coaching business to help people in their lives. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like, well, how can you do that? Well, people do it all the time, man. I actually, that reminds me, since the last time you and I talked, May and all of May and half of June of 2018, I put myself in a homeless situation as well in Hawaii, because I wanted to build my coaching business, and I needed some additional funds, and I wanted to get uncomfortable. So I lived out of my truck for a month and a half. And like you, I met a lot of people on the street. And it's interesting when you talk to people who live on the street. Some are there because they are either in bad situations, bad divorce, and moved. I was in Hawaii at the time. And some are there because they truly can't afford housing. And some put themselves there. Like you said, and some they have mental issues and other things going on too. But I just thank you so much for reaching out and helping everybody that you can, but specifically that group of people.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It makes me happy doing that.
Excellent. So, brother, we're at the point where we're going to once again pay it forward specifically to our abundant leaders today. You ready to do that?
Of course.
Excellent. So, share 1 to 3 actionable steps that men of abundance can take today.
Business, life, any specific thing?
Whatever you feel comfortable with, man.
Sure. So definitely one thing is and this is something that I've been working on recently, is actually take time for the people that love you, that really love you. I think that sometimes if we are very driven, can be like myself, is kind of easy to take for granted. Family members or other people that they are there for us, and not just taking the time, even for a phone call every now and then. And so that's definitely one thing that I would encourage you to do, because those people they care about you. But if you don't care about them, they will stop caring about you one day eventually. So for me, that was a big wake up call. That's one thing. Second thing, for true men of abundance, man, go out and sell. You want to make money, you got to sell. You got to sell consistently. The moment you stop selling is the moment you're not making any money. The moment you stop connecting with people, contacting people, offering your services, then you're not making any money. That's the game if you're in business. And the third thing is actually to have something in your life that is not that you just doing it for the sake of doing it because it makes you happy, not for any other reason. I think that this is something that I do that keeps me sane. For example, for me, it's basketball. I play basketball professionally, even if I'm quite short, but we play in the 3rd division in the National League, and I love basketball. It's a huge passion of mine. Why do I play? Because it makes me happy. No other reason. It's a good sport, it's competitive, and it's something I love, and I would just take time to do it. And so I'm going to take time to train for it, to take time to do it properly, and is the one thing that helps me just take my mind off any other thing. When I have problems, when I have issues, I go and shoot my ball, and I'm happy. and so having something, whatever is for you, maybe it's music, maybe it's poetry, maybe it's a walk in the park, maybe it's a run, maybe it's volleyball, maybe it's golf, I don't know. Whatever is for you, something that you just do for the sake of doing it, which are not turning into a business, which are not doing on a business level, which is just for you and is a game changer. So these are my three things.
Love it. Absolutely love it, man. So what other rituals? You mentioned a few rituals, but what rituals make the biggest impact in your life?
I gotta say, I've been a bit struggling with rituals. I'm not the kind of person who wakes up in the morning and then does this and X, Y, and Z. There are a few things that I do consistently, or I do my best to do as consistently as possible, which is just falling asleep with some meditation audio and waking up with another meditation audio. Sometimes I will meditate, sometimes we'll just play it in the background, but it helps me to set the day. And another thing that actually made a huge impact in terms of habit, and is mainly you can do it for, like, if you have a wife or a spouse or a husband, or like if you have a partner, is a regular family meetings, like treating your family like you would run your business. So, for example, my wife and I have once a week a full 1 hour and a half family meeting, which we started with appreciation for ourselves, and then we go into, sharing what's going on in the week, make sure that we are all updated. And then every night before we go to sleep, we do something which is called a 2-on-2, which is basically we just spend 2 minutes sharing how we feel in that moment and how we felt about the day. There is no answer, there is no exploring it. It's just pure sharing. And we do that every night before going to sleep. And this made a huge impact in our relationship. Huge.
Yeah, I can see that. That level of communication and just understanding without really all the dialogue. I just love it. One of the things that I've done in the past is kept it's a journal where I sit and write every little thing that I love and that I like and that I enjoy about my wife. Now, are there things that I can reflect on that I don't like? Absolutely. But what's the point in reflecting on that? Right?
Yeah.
So I reflect on the good things, and I give that to her as a gift. I've been doing it for years.
Beautiful.
I give it to her as a gift every, maybe around Thanksgiving or, just various times. Or I'll just leave it around the house. I'll just, I have it sitting here on my desk right now, and I've written in it, and she'll come by and pick it up. And she says to this day it's the best gift that she's ever received. And it works. It's really for me to deepen my love for her, especially in those points when I'm kind of not feeling it. When times are frustrating and stuff like that, but it definitely works both ways, man. I love that.
Thank you for sharing.
So what are you reading or listening to that you would recommend to our abundant leaders, and why?
Reading or listening? I'm big into podcasts. I'm really big into podcasts. I don't read. I don't like reading. Makes me fall asleep. Mm-hmm. So I always listen audiobooks. Good. There's some podcasts that I follow. I'm just picking them up right now. One is, quite famous, the Tim Ferriss Show. Mm-hmm. I really like it because it just give me good insights on really good people, really interesting people. Another podcast, which is a good friend of mine, which is from the UK, is called the Join Up Dots podcast. It's called David Ralph, the host, and it's one of the most famous podcasts, in particular UK based. But again, interviews really interesting people, and David is just an incredible host. It makes it really fun, really entertaining, and very useful and tangible. Then I got some audiobooks. There is one in particular now. Oh, yes, these ones. 2 audiobooks that made a huge impact in the way I think. Because now I'm, after a while, after a while you study business, like all the books, they all say the same things. Mm-hmm. Or there is just like one little thing or a reminder, but what I spent most of my time doing, just to take a break from business books, is going back into more like personal development or philosophy or psychology related books. So there are two by the same author, which is Yuval Noah Harari, and one is called The Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. Oh my God, just goosebumps when you read that book. And then the other one, still by the same author, which is Homo Deus, and A Brief History of the Future. And so these two books, they are incredible because they reflect on the story, on the history of humankind and the future, and just reflect on where we were, how we got where we are, and where we are going. With incredibly detailed examples and sociological examples. So, two amazing books.
Wow, that sounds interesting, and that's actually right on time because I'm just I listen to a lot of audiobooks as well, and I'm looking for the next audiobook. And quite frankly, I'm like you. I'm always into business type books, and I like books that get pretty deep like that as well. So. I might just go ahead and grab those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me know what you think about them. They
yeah,
are.
For sure.
I got them because a friend of mine gave me the normal book for my birthday, and she said you will love this. And because of the read, I said, well, okay, let me just get it on Audible.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my, and the book is huge. I think the audiobook. It's like, I don't know, it's like about 30 hours or something.
Jeez,
yeah.
Yeah, the average is like 8 or 9 or something like that.
I know. No, sorry. It's about 15 hours. 15 hours.
Yeah.
But it's still
huge.
It's still a big book.
So, Simone, what do you feel holds most people back from living a life of true abundance?
Well, I guess say themselves, probably like a lot of other guests would say. Every problem is self-inflicted if we take full responsibility of our life. Well, I think if we have to give like the full answer, yeah, ourself is a part, but also our sociological condition, like the environment where we are and where we grow up and the opportunities that there are around us. Someone that lives in a country where there is no freedom, it's not just about themselves, it's also about the country. And unless they find an opportunity to break through or to come out of that, it will become incredibly challenging, 100 times more difficult than compared to how lucky we are. But if we are, for example, living in a society which is quite open, then definitely it's absolutely ourselves. And thinking in particular, the fact of thinking that we can do everything on our own.
Man,
we have this thing that because we are adults now, we don't need other people. We have to figure out everything on our own. And it's so interesting when I spend time, teaching Facebook ads to a 82-year-old woman. That it's like, it doesn't matter where we are in our life. We need other people to teach us and also to take it easy on us, because the majority of the time we do a new thing is gonna suck. Like we were kids and we were trying to ride the bicycle for the first time. Or maybe we're trying to sing for the first time or to play a new instrument. Things haven't changed. The way we learned has changed. It's just our ego that tells us that now we can do, because we are adults, so we can figure out everything on our own. And in business, this is a huge thing.
Oh, it's a huge problem. It absolutely is. I mean, we stopped getting coaches after high school, or if anybody went on to college to play sports. That's the last time most people ever consider having a coach in their life. Anytime you're trying to do something new or progress in something that you've already been doing for years, you need a coach. You need a mentor. You need somebody, or a group of people for that matter. It's funny that when you look at the fact that high performers have coaches, those who want to be high performers refuse to have a coach.
Yeah,
It's just laughable, but it's sad.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true. And I'm still, I believe that we can learn things on our own. Of course,
Of
there are some
course.
things
Yeah.
that we can learn things on our own. You can go on YouTube, you can take an online program, or and then completely fully implement it yourself, and that's fine. But the fact is that once you are like what's missing is the feedback if you're doing it right or wrong, because in your mind you might think you're doing it right, and so if you think you're doing it right, then you keep doing the same thing, think you're doing it right, and actually what you're doing, you're reinforcing the wrong way of doing it
Hmm.
over and over again.
Exactly.
And so now it becomes even more difficult. And I use often this example in basketball. I mean, I'm quite small, and so I'm a shooter. That's my strength in basketball. I'm really good 3-point shooter, average 70%. So really sharp shooter, and I always have someone telling me, like giving me feedback on how I am shooting. In particular, when there are moments of stress, where their defense is on me, and how my shot gets off balance. Because we always have two ways. We have our way of acting and behaving when everything is going fine, and also when we are under stress. And our level of performance changes, and our level of consciousness changes when we are under stress. And so the just having the ability of maintaining the same poise and the same form, and um, even under stress, that's what makes a difference between someone who is okay and someone who is great at something. So that's why having that person that can give you that feedback is so important. Whether it's a community, whether it's one person, that's crucial for anyone who wants to really be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. So, what does living a life, or what does being a man of abundance mean to you?
Being a man of abundance to me means actually having my priorities in order. And what that means is actually going back to one of the pieces of advice that I gave before, was not to forget about the people that love me first, and to love them, and to show them that I love them. Because otherwise you can be a very lonely man of abundance.
Yeah, which
and
isn't abundant.
which isn't abundant. You can just be a very lonely man. And so think that and of course the definition of abundance is different from everyone, but for me is about being abundant in love, in the people that love me, and the people that I love, and as well doing something which is meaningful for them and meaningful for myself. So that's what for me means being a man of abundance.
Excellent, man. So, brother, we're going to close this up, man. Another great conversation. Before I let you go, what did we not talk about that you want to ensure that our abundant leaders get from our conversation, and how they can reach out and learn more about you?
Yeah, something that we have not talked about yet. I think is the importance of consistently getting out there. In particular, again, if you are in business, but even if you are in business, one of the reasons why we work in the field of turning experts into authorities, it is because if you're not known, no one will care about you and what you do, and that's their reality. I mean, that's how human beings somehow are wired. In the world, there are so many people that are doing a great, amazing job, right? And they are like, only few people know about them. And then you have someone, just because he goes into a reality show and is known, and now suddenly people start caring about them, even if they're not doing anything like the other person who's doing an amazing job, helping people, supporting everyone. So what's the difference? The difference is most of the time we care about people that are known, and we care about not necessarily that are famous, but if you're not known, it's very difficult to get people to care about you, and then to care about your business and then buy from you. So one of your main priorities is actually to be and get everywhere. one of the reasons why I did 1,000 speaking gigs in 5 years, it is because I wanted to be everywhere. One of the reasons why I'm investing a lot in Facebook ads and online presence, or I write for Forbes or other magazines or entrepreneur magazines and so on, because I want people to know me. Because I know that if they know me, then somehow or some way, or they will start caring about me at some point, and therefore engage in a conversation, and that can lead to a sale to a client or something different. So that will be something that we haven't talked about, and which is incredibly important to make everything you're doing work.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Well, brother, thanks for sharing, and thanks for coming back on the show. Again, thank you very much for what you're doing with all the people and paying it forward. Go out, live your life of abundance, man, and just keep paying it forward the way you are and getting your word out there, man. I love it.
All right. Thanks very much, Wally.
My pleasure. All right, guys, so your action steps for today are: 1, if you are a speaker and you pretty much expect most of your income to come from speaking, then, maybe this is a wake-up call. I've been saying for many years, you really should have more than, multiple income streams. And by that, I don't mean going out and starting a whole bunch of different businesses. I mean, actually have different ways that you can sell your products, different ways that you can provide your services. And if you can't do them online, or if you can't do them in person, then figure out ways to serve that audience, figure out ways to serve those customers in different ways. And that takes a little bit of doing. Sometimes, you know what that takes? It takes a coach. It takes a strategist. It takes somebody who is doing this in many different industries. Business strategists and coaches or consultants, whatever you want to refer to us as, such as myself and Simone and many others that are out there, are very skilled in innovating business models. That's what we do. I basically am like John Taffer or Marcus Lemonis. You've seen these guys on TV. That's basically what I do. I go in and I look at the numbers, I look at the strategies, I look at the science behind the business, I look at the marketing, and my team and I help put all this stuff together for these business owners. So don't try to do this stuff by yourself. Find somebody like Simone, find somebody like myself, find somebody who you can trust and can work in your industry and help you innovate your business during this critical time. Now, go out, live your life of abundance, and make sure to pay it forward.
That's all for today, Abundance Leaders. For more about our guests and the powerful information we shared with you today, be sure to sign up for our mailing list at menofabundance.com. We appreciate your time and look forward to hanging out with you on our next episode. So until then, be sure to pay it forward and live your life of abundance.